But yeah, it's all the build, how it's played, what character you're doing. It's whatever fits your playing the best. And I think one of his problems is he hasn't gotten the feel for the game yet to know like when to move.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that could be one. Yeah, so I turned on my well, if you're streaming, then I'm gonna say that I turned it on too. Uh so basically I'm hoping that he says hi to me, and then so that I can actually start showing. I did say that I offer like 30 minutes of just randomly pushing where he's at roughly. And whether I pass the push is not the issue. It's more so of how I handle what I'm given and how I handle it or something like that. But yeah, I turned on. If you want to support, go for it too. But I mainly want to hopefully that he's here. I mean, I can just randomly play as well, regardless of him being here or not. But um, I just want to particularly do it for the sake of seeing if he can figure out his problem based on how I play. Not that I'm anywhere better than any other person. It's just it's a way that shows what I'm explaining. Thank you. Oh yeah, that's why I record. That's why I record. That's why I record and post my gameplay, and I also don't rely on the best maps just to push, because if you play based on just the map, okay, which a lot of people do, then you don't necessarily learn what the issue is, because the map is telling. Yeah, the mob type. So I prefer mob type over the map. So I always make sure that the mob type makes sense. So for example, I hate full floor of fire shamans. So I try to get out of their ace. I try to get out of their ace. Yeah, yeah. I try to get out of the ASAP. But anyway, he's here. So I'm gonna do like a 126. Is that okay? Yeah, he's here. So he's gonna. I'm gonna turn on my the hearing so that he can hear everyone. I muted it initially.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Just the yeah. So I'm gonna do the. Let me just check my skills and
Next
everything
map
real quick.
sucks.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. 126. So I got the Act 3, a short. I think it's a. Okay, it's the long one. All right. So I just got a blue, and I have an Oculus ring, right? So I'm gonna kill. I'm gonna try to kill this blue because I got the Oculus ring fast. So I'm gonna try to get another Oculus ring as soon as I can, and then I stand on it regardless. And the blue is like half dead already, and I did get myself way too hurt. So if you're less than 600k HP, you're gonna get spiked just like I did twice, and I almost got procced twice. Okay, when I'm fighting this blue, and see, I'm already overcommitting at this spot just to show you that I'm trying to kill this blue. So even though, so as my Paragon shows, I'm only 1564, and I'm doing that 126. So it does require a bit of luck based on how the density is. And so now I have this other issue where this one blue is so much higher health than the rest, which means I'm going to be wasting time trying to kill this blue, but I already overcommitted, so I have to kill him. I mean, I have to. It's just Yeah, so I finally got him down. So let's move on. And I'm going to vault at the same time so that I can get to the next part of my density quicker. Because that is how I play rather than not having a second mobility from strafe. So now I'm just using Oculus rings as I get them and try to get back my time. See, I'm trying to catch up my power my time. As soon as I power my time, I should probably get out and go to the next map, which is what I'm doing. Okay, I got the Act 1 crypt, which is really bad. Okay, but I'm gonna try to fight as much density as I can. And then get out as soon as I can. Okay, I'm gonna get procced really soon from some stupid thing. This is a Waller and a Jug, so I'm skipping. And it's a ghost that will follow me. If he follows me and he gets hurt all the way through, I'm more than welcome, but he's not gonna drop, so I'm just gonna skip him entirely. So this is really bad for me, and this is like one of the bad showings to where you definitely want to fish based on what this second floor is doing. But I wouldn't really advise just based on one sample size right now. So I have some density here, and sometimes I always say thank you to my Templar for doing the pixel pull at the same time when I get my Oculus ring, because that's, I mean, not that all of this setup is helpful with the pixel pull, but it helps me reduce my damage taken and also help my Vala to pinpoint certain things that I want to hit. So for this one, I'm talking a lot to where the point I'm not even like concentrating on what the elite health is, but I think I can kill this group regardless. My time is definitely powering, which also shows that a not ideal map, this is what happens. But don't be discouraged if your time is just on par, because if you even get like a really good pylon later, you can just gain all your time back. So this is not a problem. Okay, I got Corvus as the floor 3. So here's the problem now with this current attempt. For this current attempt, floor 3 Corvus will tell me something in the long run. And this is where you have to make the decision whether you want to stay for this push or not. Because chances are, if the density is poor, which it isn't poor, but if it was worse than this is probably most likely a fail, because by the time I get down to floor 7, and I probably will see the end pylon before I can even see the Rift Guardian. And I've actually pushed this season on the EU side, my GR 121. I actually saw my Rift Guardian on near the end pylon, and I actually finished. I actually cleared it, but I actually fought. It was Rhyme at the near the end pylon, and I got the clear. It wasn't a first try in the end though. It was like a third or fourth try of a GR 121, but still. So it can happen. So now you just have to make the decision. My time is still powering, which is because of my Paragons. My Paragons is only 15 something. And I'm not fully augmented, as you know already know. Yeah, so
Only noobs augment.
okay, so my first pylon happened to be channeling, so I'll just take it anyway because it's not something that I need to like look out for how many elites I have. And now I'm back ahead of time a little bit. So, okay, I'm gonna get procced. No, I managed. Okay. Alright, so here's the part with where a lot of people don't like Corvus, right? You can't really chain things very well. But I'm gonna try to chain things and see if that would work for me. Personally, I'm probably gonna screw this whole thing up just to show you chaining it. And the reason for chaining is because if I get 50% progression here, chances are I will get a conduit or even a power. And if I do, I can kill the 2 to 3 elites at a go and get over the powering that way. So that is a strategy that you need to think on the fly during your push. You can't just sit there thinking that, oh, I can clear this elite regardless. It's not just about clearing the elite. Okay, I stood there for stupid reasons on the frost.
This is a good lobby.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna kill this one now because I didn't see an elite in the next one. But on the fly, you have to consider whether you should pull and whether the mob type is even gonna follow. And I got procced there for a stupid reason, so I shouldn't have gotten procced, but I'm just trying to over-explain each little detail so that you can try to figure out what your problem is based on the over-detail of this whole showing of one sample size. So this is a second elite, and it's like one third health down already. I need more density, I would say, so that's why I'm moving on a bit, and they do follow. So you gotta learn from your previous gameplay experience to see which elites do follow and which don't, so that you know that you can start chaining, or that you have to commit on the spot. And when you do commit on the spot, you want to hope that you have remaining trash just to get them down. So now I just ran out of trash and I'm trying to move on, but it's at the end of the floor, which means I have to fight this on my own. But I just managed to get somehow that Oculus ring from that elite itself, and I finished the last elite. Okay, floor 4 is the lightning tower, shocking tower floor. So now I'm ahead of time because I've been using the Oculus rings optimally. And I've already done a 126 before, so obviously I should be able to repeat a lower GR. But it could get hard too. Sometimes the RNG is so bad that a higher clear is easier than a lower one. And that can happen too. So this showing can and or may be a loss regardless. So I just got a shield pylon here. I might play a little greedy because I haven't ripped yet and there's no elites near the pylon, so I can just clear out this near the pylon first. There is an elite here which I skipped, but there was a reason why I skipped, is because of the density. The density just wasn't there, so I think I'm gonna skip this yellow because I already overkilled my density on that tile. And I want to keep up my time, so I rather density, because the higher you go of a GR, you also want to value density as a way to gain time. Because, like I said, you need to get the Oculus rings. No matter whether you're fighting an elite or not, you want to use Oculus rings for anything that you're fighting. I mean, granted that if your Paragon is like mine, you really need Oculus rings. And it's a general rule that, I mean, if you have a follower equipped with it, why not? Why not use it? Alright, so my time is just a little tad faster than the actual time, so it's still fine. So I'm going to just kill this Scorpion Elite Pack the same way I would do. I have a shield, so I don't care about any of the affixes unless it's like a wall or something and it's gonna waste my time, but it's not a wall, it has shield though, so I just have to be careful that I'm not wasting time based on the shield affix. Okay, it's dead. Alright, let's keep going and move on. I'm like maybe a minute ahead of the time. I think this floor is done. There is an elite here. Do I want to stay? Nah, this is too little. Skip that. Okay, next floor, floor 5. See what I mean earlier? When I get the Corvus floor 3, I knew that I was going to go like at least 2 to 3 floors down before I can even pass the rift. And normally people are like, oh, a push is most likely the first 3 floors or less. Yeah, I mean, sure, ideally you want the best 3 floors. Not to say it has to be Festering, Eternity, and Desert Hilltop or something. But normally a clear usually shouldn't go up to floor 5, so to speak. I mean, at the start of the floor 5 maybe, but I'm like going in deeper than I need to be on floor 5. And this is a waller, so I should probably skip this. but I'm just talking too much at this point. Okay, let's skip that. Let's fight density and move on because I'm going to go to floor 6 after this grotesque density. So I'm hoping that over this over explanation, you can kind of find where your own gameplay needs to kind of attend to based on your own gear. So I'm ahead of time still, which is obviously great. I'm about done with this floor after this grotesque dies. Okay, next floor. Okay, it's Act 3 again. Okay, so this is a spear guys. Okay, spear guys are really painful if you don't handle it properly. So I'm trying to encircle them, and that way some will miss. Okay, my time is very tight if I don't get a blue elite, which I just did, and I think I got a double pack here, blue and a yellow. So now this is where your 500 something K HP will get you shredded and rip. This is the spot where you're gonna rip if you don't have the right health pool threshold. Thank you, Templar, again for that pixel pool. That is amazing. That would help my time. And this other part, if you lack damage, this part where your progression bar is so close to being done, if you know that the mob type gives the mob type of the floor is helpful to just gain time, don't fight any elites at this point. Just skip and fight normal trash. Oh, look at that, a conduit. Perfect. I'm still ahead of time, so actually I don't need to use the conduit, even though I should probably use the conduit and get myself the 100%. So let's go. Let's just do that. Let's just do that and get the 100% and fight the Rift Guardian with the conduit. And this should be an easy clear now with the conduit, unless I rip like 5 times in a row. I'm not reading the chat. I'm just trying to over-explain something, and then you can figure out what your issue is. And then I'll talk after I'll look at the chat after I finish this Rift Guardian. And this Rift Guardian is annoying. Since last season, for some odd reason, I've never struggled more with Raziel than I ever have since last season using the God DH. It's almost like I play so poorly, just like I do with Mathiel, that I don't know how to dodge standing right behind him, kind of thing. Because Raziel does his stupid spear move, and then I get procced, and then I get nervous. So I just cleared this 126 on the first try, showing you how to do it, and I didn't get any of the ideal maps. I didn't get Desert Hilltop, I didn't get the Forest Mire, I didn't get Eternity, or Battlefield, however you want to say it. So I didn't get any of like the 4 best maps, but I still managed, and I even went overboard explaining like crazy, like a play-by-play, like a full play-by-play, and I still managed to clear it. So that level of concentration takes a bit of time, but that's basically how I am thinking as I'm clearing. So let me just upgrade the gem, and then I'll read the chat if you typed anything. Of course, I could have read while I was clearing. I just wanted to show a bit more concentration. Let me go ahead and read what you say, if you did say. Where do you see when you're using Oculus? Oh, you just have to stand in it. You don't actually I mean, unless you have some add-on or something, you're not gonna see like count per count of your damage increase. You just have to use it as you see it.
Just stand in the yellow circle.
Yeah, just stand in the circle, if that's what you were also wondering. So yeah, I used, for anyone else watching, I've used almost like 95% of my Oculus rings for almost the full duration.
Yeah,
Unless I'm chaining.
it's a damage boost.
Yeah, unless I'm chaining, then, or like I'm trying to get more density, then I waste probably like 1 or 2. But other than that, when I was playing that during that push, I literally used the whole duration, or at least most of it. Oops, did I? I didn't need it, I think. It was just a duffel. It was an ancient duffel, but I don't think it was good anyway. Yeah, it wasn't. Okay. I'm not gonna play support more than I need to anyway. So I was just trying to be careful. Yeah, so what so if you watched me just now, what issues could you see yourself doing aside from the Oculus thing that you just asked? What else did you think that you did not do? Because that's a good way to learn is that for me, I record my pushes and then I kind of if I want to rewatch, I can rewatch. But if I can remember what I did or know where my mistakes are, then I kind of see it or I can watch it and then figure out where I go wrong. And then a lot of times I'm still learning how to get the pylon spawns correctly. I was even corrected that pylon spawns do not work in the way that I thought it was. And then now that I learned it more properly, um, I actually managed to get the pylons to spawn as I want. And also, um, I play this fun game for my own pushes. Is that I always try to call for the conduit when I think it should be the conduit for the situation that I'm in. So let's say I chained pulled. Let's say I chain pulled like 2 or 3 elites together, and I know that my progression is going towards the 50% or the next percentage, which is like 25, 50, and 75. If I know that it's coming, I would call for the conduit if haven't already gotten one. Because once you got one, you can't get it again. So if I called for it and I got it, that just multiplies my push success. Because not only you played it in a way that it's strategic, you also just suddenly gain time. Even though it's kind of the same if you were to kill them already, but you also gain time. And it gives you that boost of confidence because you know that you played it strategically more than just, oh, I can clear this particular set of 3 elites. Without dying, great. You learned a lot without dying. But then if you can play alongside the pylon usage, then that doubles your chance for the next GR push. So here, this is just one sample size. Now I'm going to do another push, the 127 straight away, after I read what you just said. I don't decide fast enough which mobs to fight or skip. Okay, so for this God DH, right? For example, Wallers. You want to try to hope that you didn't pull in a Waller when you're already fighting the other elites, because that will hinder you fighting the other elites that are easy. So sometimes I do that. I actually pull in another elite while chaining and it's a Waller, and then it starts screwing me over, and that's a mistake I have to live with if I actually made that. And then I have to decide how many of those elites that I can kill while that Waller affix is affecting me before I even had that Waller come in, right? So you have to consider that. And if you screwed up in that sense, then you have to skip it entirely and just move on. Unless you know that your progression is leading to a pylon spawn. Then you consider committing. And then when you consider committing, you start moving forward as you're fighting so that you try to get the Waller affix, the walls to spawn not near the other elite pack. and then you go back for the elite, and then you move forward again so that the walls don't block the elite. But you're not actually fighting the wall or affix elite unless you want to clear, unless you know that you can kill the wall or elite, because sometimes the wall or elite is an annoying mob type. Waller and Jug are the worst. Shielding sometimes can get you too. The higher you go.
Shielding sucks.
Yeah, especially when the shielding gets into the timing of your cold cycle.
Yeah, if you see shielding horde, just skip them.
Yeah, yeah. If you see shielding and you are like a person that learned from someone or some friends of yours that say you have to watch your cold cycle. And if you are taught that way and you've already played that way, shielding will hurt you at some point because it will always try to affect, or it will, well, it's not necessarily that the affix always knows when your cold cycle is, but it's like very superstitious or like very awkwardly
Oh,
knowing.
I swear the mobs know your cycles. Because I've had shielding on my necro where every time I hit my poison cycle and I'm about to do them, they shield up.
Yeah, yeah. So
And it
so
just
so
totally eats my
yeah,
cycle.
yeah. So that's why you also shielding you can kind of consider if you want to go for it or not. And then the mob types, right? Knowing the mob types is very important. This will come by from experience. So if this is like your first season, or let's say the second season or something, uh, if you've played enough to start learning the progression, some people used to do the other thing, and I wouldn't want to say it. That actually calculates what progression you have per screen
That's
of pull.
cheating.
Yeah. Oh, your second season? Okay. Okay. That's probably one of the reasons. But I wasn't gonna get there. But on this topic of mob types, this will definitely tell if you have had enough experience over understanding what mob types are better for you for the progress anyway, for the pylon especially. So
Yeah. No matter what build you're playing, there's always going to be a type of creature slash affixes for elites that are going to just wreck you. You have to learn what those are and just bypass them as quick as you can. Like a god DH with the lightning where they put it on the ground, that's going to eat you because you hit so fast. There's going to be lightning all over the
yes,
ground.
and on that note too, this is why I always try to get my lightning resist on par with the physical resist that people always talk about for almost every class and every build. They always talk about physical resistance first. Yes, I understand that. But the God DH, even though I'm not the best player in the world, I know that electrified affix hurts a ton based on how many times you hit them, and if you've played Diablo 2, you know that multi-shot lightning enchanted will kill you, will shred you from the past. Lightning
Yep.
enchanted has always been really crazy. I even have a video of my Hammerdin with the Thunder Gods and Wisp projector, and I had a druid in the party with the oak sage, and the oak sage definitely did not get away from the proximity at all. I was still at 7.2k HP from the oak boost, and I had what 85 or 90 light res. But there was like a fury druid also in the team, as well as some other person in that fight. The lightning procced. I was near the lightning procs. It was like I wasn't directly in front of the lightning procs of the scarabs, but in like 2 seconds flat, I lost half my HP. Even
Yeah.
with 90%, even with 90 light res and some absorb, and technically I should be healed, I was not. I even paused my recording and tap it almost frame by frame, and I did not see the oak sage leave the proximity to the point where I would lose it. And I moused over my health as well at that time, and my health was still at 7.2. So there was no way you have 7.2 as a Hammerden anyway without the Oak Sage buff or even the Barb together combined. So even if a Barb, I lost a Barb BO, I would still have 5 point something, but I was still at 7.2. So anyway, that was the lightning segue. Um, so I'm gonna go ahead and do a 127. Was it just now? I did a 126, I think. So let me just go to a 127 to show the consecutive progression. So um, this season on the EU side, I did like a 116 to 119 consecutively, all in one shot, regardless of what the map was given. And I actually have a highlight that lasted for 1 hour and 6 minutes for the 4 pushes that I did them all within one key. So, for example, if I, let's say, try this 127 right now, this would not be fishing. If I do complete this 127, that just means I did 126 and then I did a 127. So that's 2 keys literally instead of fishing to get a 1 try clear. There's a difference between this. And I'm not trying to brag about a first try clear necessarily, but this is how you avoid needing to fish unless you're really tired. Like, let's say you spent 3 hours in a row mashing your keys, your head on the table. You went for a smoke or whatever, anything that de-stresses you, and you're all stressed out. Then you start fishing. But if it's just like 1 or 2 attempts, just try to clear it, regardless of what the map is. So let me just go ahead and go for the 127. Okay, I got the lightning tower map again. The density is not great already. I can already tell. Uh, I might want to just clean this out. So here's the reason why I started talking about the density right off the bat. So you want to kind of use whatever you get in the beginning to create the momentum for yourself and also the progression bar. You don't want your progression bar to be beige. So that's where people fish comes in. They don't want a beige bar in the beginning. So that's why they want festering and other thing for another reason though. But basically, the rule of thumb is that you have to use the first room or the first screen more or less to gauge your own warm up. Treat it like a warm up and treat it like a damage test. So if you can pass the damage test, then you should be able to clear regardless of what the map is. So I'm powering time, and I feel like this is going to be an overcommitment on this blue elite, which means that I actually lose time, even though I thought I gained. Okay, I got proc because I was fighting a waller, and I was near the fire chain and the beam at the same time. So this pack is already showing that I'm talking too much and I'm not concentrating. And if I were doing this for an actual push, I pretty much made a mistake here. So if you're going to be doing this push, this is a mistake that you want to try to avoid. And this is a waller, right? So obviously you should skip this. But I'm showing you, like, regardless of it being a waller necessarily, you can still clear it. You can still fight one wall or waller packs. It's just that you have to understand whether you're overcommitting or not. So I overcommitted and I got myself procced. Now, this is softcore, but I actually don't like getting procced. There is a reason as to why I don't like getting procced. I actually play worse when I get procced because I start playing too defensively, and then I lose time because I play too defensively. Whereas a lot of the other people, they play much better because they become more alert. So if you are more alert after getting procced, go for it. I mean, I wouldn't advise trying to get yourself killed and lose time that way, but go for it. If you think that you can play better after getting procced, then do what you need to do to motivate yourself in passing the rift. But my advice is don't treat softcore necessarily like that. Try to not get your cheat death for no apparent reason. Like it has to be like something really difficult, or like you mistimed something that would cause it, more than like, oh look, it's softcore, I can just get procced and rip like however many times, so to speak, and think that I can do it. No, don't do that. Even if it's softcore, treat it like it's hardcore. Obviously, your character has died before. That's a moot point, right? At that point, because if you had ripped already, the character has been long gone. But that's not what I'm trying to get at. I'm just trying to get at to where if you die, you're losing time, and then if you're playing COE, you lose time if you messed up the cycle, and then it takes time to ramp up, then you're losing almost the next cycle as well, which means you're losing 2 cycles of crazy damage already. So I got this floor 2, I got this Vault of Assassin map, if you know what I'm referring to. Then for this kind of map, you can either skip it or find big rooms. Always find big rooms, as though it's like the best 2 maps, right? Like Battlefield and Festering. Just consider all the other maps the same way you would do it, and just fight big rooms. Like if the room is not filled enough, move on, which is what I'm gonna do. And I got the shield. So here's the other strategy you could do. Now, if this blue zombies could follow me up the ramp and stuff, and if did I engage another elite? Maybe I'm just talking out of the thing, because I was trying to see if I engaged something else, but apparently that's the same engaged line for the blue zombie elite. Anyway, what I was getting at is that if I just so happen to see the next elite, I would pull this zombie elite near this pylon and then start killing the next one, but it's the end of the floor. So that play obviously cost me time already. So I should just grab this shield and let's see if I can overcommit and still kill this elite. This is another mistake that I just did. So I already made 2 mistakes in this GR push. And I don't mind admitting it, because it is how you don't want to, if you want to clear it, if you want to make a first try clear, you don't want these mistakes. Okay, floor 3 is the Act 1 crypt again, and I got the speed pylon. It's a little sooner than the progression bar, but I think I did kill enough to where it would spawn some a pylon. I have a feeling that either I use the speed pylon to kill these, or I use the speed pylon to get out of the way. And let me just try to play a speed to escape. But I guess this density is fine. I'm gonna ignore that blue elite. That blue elite is just not in a good position, and I would lose time. So density killed, move on. Is this room good enough? Somewhat. So some of the mob types that are good are like Val Swarms, the ones that look like bees or something, like a swarm of flies. That's a really good one with scorpions together. That's ideally a good way to buy progression, because they're easy to kill and they give a reasonable amount of progression. So mob types do matter. Oh, a dampening. Oh man, how would we miss dampening after this season? Okay, so when you see a dampening like this, you basically want to pull. Oh, what? 2 dampeners for this clear? Okay, so if I mess this up now, this is stupid. Okay? If I mess this up, this is pretty dumb. The only thing that would be less dumb is if the mob types are not as good as what I wanted it to be. Now this is 2 dampeners. 2 dampeners means I would gain so much time as though it was a conduit. Okay, a waller. Oh, so yeah, it's gonna eat up a bit of my time being a waller. So 1 down, and the other one should go down shortly as well. This is the waller, so it's not going down very fast. But see, look at that. I just gained 2 minutes off that luck of 2 dampeners, not just 1, but 2. Okay, so this sample is kind of one-sided, so to speak. Okay, I don't need to do this elite. I can skip it. Floor 4 is the snow forest. That's what I call this. Okay, I got a power with a yellow. At this point, it's still too soon to keep it for an elite, for the Rift Guardian, so I'm gonna take it. And the only thing bad is this is a waller. I have a feeling I should just skip this, even though I have the power. Let's see. Let me just mouse over the elite whenever I can. Yes, I should skip it. So let's go ahead and skip it because I'm gonna be losing my 2-minute gain that I did if I stayed. So sure, a power pylon I can stay, but again, it's the waller trumps it, right? In a way. So the waller affix, just have to consider that. Okay, so this is good density, and if this yellow would go down, then it's even better. But if not, I'm just gonna start killing trash because these trash is good. Okay, the next one is a shielder. I think I will start chaining them. If they want to follow me, they can. I would try to forcefully pull them so that I will still clear them because I had a cold cycle. So look at my time, right? From the 2 freaking missile dampeners, I have 3 minutes of time. And I did get decent mob types for almost every floor. So of course I didn't name all the types that showed how good the mob types were, but you can roughly kind of learn as you go based on what I didn't say, and you can learn that way as well. Because I'm not gonna try to like say every single thing every single time. Okay, I got channeling. I mean, I'm trying to say everything so that you learn better, but then at some point you gotta play on your own instinct. And so here I'm almost done. So let's just kill trash. So at the 5% mark, you gotta consider what is the mob type, so that you can just fight trash to gain that last 4 or 5%. However, there's a time where you get 99% progression, and for some reason you would think that this screen of monsters would get you that last 1%. The game will be really dumb and make you feel really stupid and not give you that last 1%. So that's how a successful push will end up to be a fail because of that small little detail. But it's also affected based on what mob types you were getting. But basically, this 127 is another clear, right? Unless I mess up. Well, I did mess up 2 times in the beginning. One on the first beginning, overcommitment, and the other was what was it? Something. I'm trying to remember. Anyway, I had 2 mistakes basically in this push. But then seeing the dampeners, even 1 dampener was enough, but 2 is just overkill based on 1 sample size again. So see how my first push, my first key attempt style, you don't really have to fish for like the best 2 maps. Have I gotten any of the 2 maps yet? No, I still haven't. But I still do it. There, I just got it, and I still have 2 minutes and 35 seconds to spare. It's not bragging about the time, it's more like the maps didn't really play a role. It's the mob types and how you make on the fly decisions. At least that's what I'm observing. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So the dampener is really helpful, and that bought me time. I was powering the time based on my mistakes. I had 2 mistakes at least there, but I didn't rip, right? I got procced several times. So
Oh,